Cool.
So I had a question, Trevor.
Yes, Kyle?
This new insurance coverage that we have, I emailed them and like I set up this green shield and with ORSWP or whatever that acronym is, like no one's helping. Like in terms of like how to get coverage, how to define coverage or anything.
Okay, so do we need to reach out? Christina, do you have any insight interacting with the folks over at the insurance? Does anybody have any experience with interacting with the insurance?
They're probably inundated, but I know there's program administrator emails. There's PDFs that OREA has had online in terms of fees and coverage amounts generalized. I have not dealt with them personally, no.
Yeah, like it doesn't actually tell you where to go, how to set it up. Like the Green Shield is set up, their portal, but where do I go to figure out everything else? And like we're paying for it and no one's willing to help us. I'm like, that's great.
Within the same portal, you set up your dependents. Have you done that?
So no, that wasn't
That would
set
have
up.
popped
And I
up as
spoke-
one of the first options.
He said I got to speak to someone else through the OSRWB or whatever it is.
Or WP.
Yeah.
There's a seminar. Art was the one who told me there's a seminar this afternoon that you can sign up for. The email came out, I think, earlier in the week, but there's a seminar from 2 to 3:30 today because Art was in the one that was on Monday, but this one's supposed to be more in depth, understanding your ORWP coverage.
Yeah.
And it'll have all three companies that are part of the benefits package on, and there will be a Q&A today.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm going through the same problems you are. And I was in the webinar on Monday, which was an information thing. I've got my whole profile set up and everything, but the one today apparently is supposed to be quite informative with the three insurers having a Q&A period. So you might be interested in signing up for that at 2 o'clock today, if you have time.
That's great. I won't be available.
Rather
at that
frustrating.
time.
It is
If
frustrating.
if other people have like the notes from it or just guidance after, that would be awesome. Greatly appreciate it.
So I would recommend hooking up with that today at 2 if you could.
There's a link there in the chat.
I see the link. Would it be valuable for us to record that call or get a recording, even if we can't attend that? I assume they're going to record it. Let's see if we can capture something and maybe do a little post on the Facebook group there for if there's a recording. Okay, Kyle? We'll look into that to do that. Cool. Anything else? That was a great question. That's a great question because that's a really big value add supposedly to all the Ontario realtors. So we should have a little bit more direction on that and benefits. So okay.
Hi.
Hey, Madeline.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the insurance. Yesterday I was going through that. So apparently we are covered $750 per year. We only cover 70%. How much is that we pay for that insurance per year? Because it wasn't a membership, so it wasn't clear how much we really pay for that insurance. How much we paying per year for the insurance?
It's $659, I believe.
How much?
$659.
Really? And we are only covering $750? Is that a joke?
Story, say that again. I'm having audio.
Oh, that we are covering $750 per year, right? That's how much the insurance is paying us for, massage, chiropractic, physiotherapy. It doesn't cover no dental, no vision. Only $750 per year.
Yeah.
And it's only covered as 70% of the bills.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like, yeah, Madeline, it sounds like you're voicing frustration with it and the quality of it. I absolutely.
I know. I just I mean, when they do the survey and everything, I say no about it. But I mean, ending that everybody wanted anyway. But I think it wasn't a lot of information about it. I don't want to take a lot of time about that, but it seems like it wasn't a lot of information about it, about realistic what the members are getting for the price that we pay anyway.
Yeah.
I just put it out there. I emailed them and I'm waiting for them to mail me back about the payment too, because it was no way how to do it online. So yeah. Okay.
Well, look, I'll see if I can get the recording there to elaborate a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to comment on the quality of it and the history of it. It's here now, and we're paying the bill for it. So
Yeah,
again, I'm not
I know.
condoning
That's
it.
why.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so it's $750 wash me. I'm gonna go to even to the psychology if I don't need to. So anyway, all right. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
Cool. All right. So I'm just here's our agenda for the day. You guys read that in the notes there. Some interesting stories kind of from last week, but before we kind of jump into that, I think we're close to already 100 people registered for this event, which is being held at the sorry, I'm getting distracted here. There's a screaming baby in the building. My apologies, guys.
Oh, the rain. Well, the thing should go on.
Okay, so here this is our event. It's at Hockley Valley on February 21st from 9:30 to 3:30. Tanya Chinova, who both Christina and I got her book. She's a really great speaker and she's got some great insight. And as I was chatting with other broker owners, they were kind of asking me about if I had any speakers, and I mentioned this, and they were all like really impressed. And actually, there's other speakers right now throughout the industry that are talking about concepts of self-sabotage that real estate agents, but generally speaking, salespeople are guilty of doing to themselves. And it's an interesting timing for that subject. So she's going to be a wonderful speaker. And again, it's a workshop style for 90 minutes. We're not just sitting and listening, we're fully engaged on this. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. Of course, we've got the mayor kind of kicking things off in the morning with me. We do have Beth and Tom speaking about some products that they are unveiling. So I'm pretty pumped on what I've already seen with that. We've got some new products on our end that we're rolling out, of course. Stan Ralchik, Leslie Stoneham, Aman Kapoor, who are all individually, the reason we've asked them to kind of come up and speak with regards to pre-construction, they're all kind of driving that within their regions there. And of course, Stan just announced yesterday, he's of course #2 producer in all of Canada and #9 producer in the world. Which just blows me away. And of course, I heard about this last week, that it was updated, and it was a big talk about this guy Stan amongst all the Canadian owners at Century 21. Some impressive numbers. And of course, we all know he does a lot of pre-construction. So does Leslie. She's the #1 agent in Orangeville right now. And then Aman as well too. So it's fascinating. Now, I did just read, we're reading, as you all are, articles and insight as to how difficult pre-construction was last year. But at this point, builders and developers are very open working with agents. So if you haven't developed those relationships, this is a great time to do that. And again, having these three speak as leaders driving that themselves, it's good timing as well too. So this is our agenda for the day. A couple of adjustments on that. We've got a speaker coming from Korea that we're just got a meeting with him tomorrow just to frame up his talk there. And it's going to be a good day. So if you haven't registered for that, please do. That'll be a great session. Guys, you know what? I apologize. You got to bear with me. I've got a child in the building. I'm just going to see if we can tone that down.
I've tried.
Okay, give me a second. I'm just going to do my best.
I know.
Talk about, you know what? Okay, this is a great time for me to exit. I hate to do this, guys, but that's very distracting. The question I've posed here is, how are you making $200,000 this year? I actually wanted to open it up for discussion. So I'm going to ask maybe Kyle. Kyle, you've made $200,000 in a year before, haven't you? He just jumped up. But let's have a discussion here about how this is something that you guys can achieve. And if you don't mind, I'd love you guys I'm asking for a little bit of help. I gotta go speak to someone here with this child. My apologies, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I don't do anything fancy. It comes down to strong habits, consistency, doing the little things and building upon that nonstop over and over and over. And as we know, real estate's not a sprint, it's a marathon. My judo background, 17 years in judo, that discipline really definitely helped me a lot in terms of getting up, having to-do lists, doing them consistently over and over and over again. And, I didn't start off at the top or anything like that, but doing all those fundamentals really helped give me the systems in place and the consistency to build upon it and making those little tweaks over and over and over again. And we can all make excuses and we can all, fall back and do things that we shouldn't be doing and get lazy, and that happens to all of us. But for me, consistency has been key, and just being completely disciplined. I know Joanne makes the joke that sometimes I come into the office and I just walk like a horse and my head's down, I get to work, and that's what we're there to do, right? So I would say without a doubt, like, I don't do a lot of things correct. I make mistakes. I lose a lot of listings and whatnot. It's a numbers game, right? But staying on top of the consistency and doing what I have in place has certainly helped me. That way I know what I need to do every single day.
That's awesome. I got half of that, Kyle. But I appreciate that. The consistency is key. I always make, as a joke, I always tease that Kyle in Brampton for so many years as the #1 agent was the biggest loser in the office. Like, really, he's going on, it's a numbers game. He's gonna get the rejection the most. And actually, I hear that of all the top producers, consistently, the ones that they lose, not everybody hits 100% of their deals, right, Kyle? Like, and you're not supposed to. How many conversations, Kyle, you and I had? It's like I couldn't bend the knee on that one, on that commission, because or the one that you kept running into was, you got agents that are overpricing the listing, and of course the seller wants to hear that bigger number, and you get that 1 or 2 hours listing presentation. It's tough. It's tough to deny that big number. So that's something you always ran across, right, Kyle?
Yeah, it was even like when we had our talks, like, and I did a couple sales training things where it was like, if you're going into a listing presentation, like, asking the right questions and screening the clients initially is really important. Like, what are your price expectations? Like, are they even realistic? How soon do you need to sell? Are you interviewing other agents? You are? Okay, who are they? Have you already interviewed them? I would like to be the last one in. The reason why is because if I'm not the last one in, the last guy in, if he's a shark, he's going to tell them what they need to know and get them to sign on the dotted line regardless there. And they're not even going to call me back. Even though if I ask them, before you make a decision, call me back, let's see what we can work out to try to make this a win-win for both of us, that's very rarely going to be the case. Right. So, and as Trevor said, someone pumps them up with a higher price, lower commission, seems like a great deal. Obviously, they go through the ringer and they play the price decrease game with them. They know the game, right? But they got them to sign on the dotted line and they're going to work them down. Right. So it's learning how to navigate those situations and trying to do it correctly, not correctly, but trying to win the client over initially, going in with the right strategy. And that initial phone call, if you ask the right questions, it really will answer a lot of the questions to help you prepare when you go into the meeting with the client to maximize your conversion, right? As much as possible. And still, like, I don't win them all. That is for sure.
Awesome, great insight, Kyle. One of the things I was in the office yesterday chatting with Ryan Anderson, who's not on the call, but consistently top performer there, and he's everybody's struggling with the transactions right now. We all are. In October, it was reported in the last 21 years, it is the lowest number of transactions per month in the month of October. and we can probably see that consistency throughout the fall months of 2023. But you know, this last month, the numbers were just posted yesterday. Let's say in Brampton, we're roughly sitting around 300 transactions in the month of January. I don't have the exact number here, but say it's 300. Of those 300, ask yourselves, how many of those were your transactions? And if it's, you know, one, maybe two, excellent. But the gap, what's the gap there? Well, there was 299 or 98 deals that you were not connected to. You didn't know those people. And maybe you did. Maybe there was a couple listing appointments there that you missed there. But the obvious gap there is I'm not connected with the volume of those people. A very consistent message that keeps coming up. You hear that this is a belly-to-belly business. You are hearing that this is a social business. And I think we've gotten used to a norm in this world where we don't go out and connect with other people or adventure with new things. I sat down at a table last week with complete strangers. When was the last time you sat down at a dinner or an environment where there was new people in that, a networking event, a group that you belong to? I know, Tio, you belong to a lot of groups up in the Barrie area. To get connected into that area, that is really the first step in creating a group of people that even get to appreciate your skill and your knowledge. But it's talk about connecting with other people. Is that something, Tio, that you're seeing is a path to making those, 6+ figures in a year?
It is definitely something that everyone should consider. These networking groups are just amazing. And I see all the business owners lately, they want to get together. They want to share ideas. They share their struggle. They know they're in a safe space with other business owners that have the same focus and goal of, getting whatever they want to achieve for the year. And it's amazing. I see a lot of different coaches out there trying to put free seminars, free breakfast and coffee get-togethers with the business owners. But I think that's something that, yeah, it's very important. You get your name out there, you get to meet other people, and you get referrals. You build that trust with other business owners.
Sorry, Tia, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we do an event every week, every Wednesday morning, like early morning, 7 a.m. And lots of people show up.
Yeah.
Different businesses.
I think I mentioned last week, I went and played squash with a few guys there. I squeezed on my tight, these days everything's tight, but I squeezed on my tight Century 21 t-shirt and just bang, 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 people talking to me, which was, oh yeah, that's right. Like I was even thinking yesterday, I'm like, I gotta get a shirt that fits me that says Century 21 Millennium. I gotta engage that. You're going to the gym, you're out and about. I know it's hard to expose yourself and to put yourself out there, but that's where the magic happens and that's where the connections begin. Okay, so anyways, I just wanted to kind of set the stage.
100%. The gym is another place. I saw Chris Peter the other day on a video on Facebook. He said that back in the days when he was going to the gym and selling real estate, he had a t-shirt list with Chris. And that's how we went to the gym. And yeah, he got quite a few deals out of that.
Yeah, I think as we're talking here, I can see a lot of people's faces like, yeah, that's right. I knew about that. It's one thing to know what to do, and it's another thing to really get the motivation and the focus to do it and to put yourselves out there. So it's funny. I know there was a conference last week, Buzz Conference. Man, you would think that realtors are the most social people, going to these events, but don't just go to events where there's other realtors as well. Outside of that, that comfort zone is where you need to be. That's where the new people are. So, but on that premise there, I did attach a business plan, and I mentioned in my video yesterday that if you haven't already done this, a business plan is a pretty powerful tool which I think we've all done. This was a really convenient one that was put together. One of the brokerages sent that over to me. I was like, this is great. I mean, a wonderful format. I just want to really go through it quickly. You know, the formula and the steps that we need to go through. And what does success look like for you? I was chatting with someone yesterday about, you print this off, you know, and start writing it down. Your mind gets a lot more creative when you're using, you know, your hand versus just typing and at the computer. This is an introspective process. This is a real deep dive into who you are and really thinking about your business. So I think this is a powerful tool. Your traditional SWOT analysis, I think everybody goes, yes, I have to identify what I'm really good at. You know, you have agents that I'm going to pick on. I saw Beth was here, really exceptional on social media, right? And you're saying to yourself, you know, that's not something that I'm necessarily good at, but I have other strengths. And what are my strengths? And write those down. Identify. If you don't know who you are or where you're starting right now, how do you expect to get to a different result with either skills or systems to implement to make that change? What are the opportunities in your marketplace? I think we're recognizing today, had we purchased and our clients who were looking to purchase in November, that probably would have been a great time. So that foresight is only realized in hindsight. And I think it'd be a great exercise for you to understand what's the next opportunity for me to recognize with my clients or even within myself, within my business there. Of course, threats and, you know, I think it's important to review what you did last year. This is so if someone says to me, you know, Trevor, it's all about social media this year. It's like, okay, great. But what did you do in the last 12 months, 24 months? What have you done in the last 5 years you've been in the business? Where did that business come from? Understand what's working for you and then create new silos if that's the path you're going to go in. Again, I'm not going to go through everything in detail here, but understanding your numbers is essential. Where am I starting and versus where do I need to go? And this is a great product to go through. So we'll go through everything there. I was in Tio's office last couple of weeks ago, actually, and she had this posted up on the screen. And I just think as a general rule of thumb, if you are a lost salesperson in the market of 2024 and you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, I don't want to do a business plan, okay, then do this stuff. Just do this stuff. You know, every single day you want to try and win the day. So making 5 phone calls a day, making 3 personal notes. Of course, this is the Brian Buffini system. Again, speaking with broker owners last week, I was chatting with Gary Bush, and he was asking me, what are you guys using for your coaching, your programs that you're teaching your agents to go on? And we kind of said a few things. He's like, I just can't get away from the Brian Buffini system. It just works. It's the one we just keep coming back to. If you follow that system, just focusing on your sphere of influence, the people in your sphere, boy, it's making some really big producers. Which I absolutely agree to. You know, of course, on the week, as Tio was saying there as well, you know, a business to business lunch, interacting, doing those pop buys. This is a great reference, and I put it in the email for Wisdom Wednesday, so the reference is there. I think, as Tio has done, print this off, put it right in front of your desk. This should be, if you're ever having a quiet moment, this should remind you, hey, here's some of the activities you should be doing. I've had a couple conversations on CRMs, and before, you know, if someone asked me, Trevor, what's the best CRM to use? No such thing. No such thing. We got a great free product at the Century 21 through MoxieWorks. It's going to get better. I got some announcements last week on enhancements there, but there really is no such thing as a perfect CRM. I think a business plan is the priority. Doing that and identifying, again, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and understanding your marketing, what marketing initiatives brought you the greatest return, and then what you're going to actually do. And that really is the key question when considering what CRM to use. in I would say 80% of the CRM platforms, it is a marketing function that it is delivering as far as value to you. So I've got this video. I posted that. I put it in the bio as well in the invite. Understanding what your marketing strategies are going to be should be a major factor in which CRM system you're going to do. I just wanted to leave that as a little tip. That's a whole hour-long conversation to jump into that. But this is a great video that's done in 5 minutes. I overview things to consider as far as your systems. I kind of just want to open it up to this conversation. Are multiple offers back? I really would like to hear a couple stories. I don't know if Alejandro's on the call here, but I saw he posted last week at one point a presentation was up to 70. And I think it was that one in Vaughan he was participating in that got 85 offers. But we know better. We know that product sold for what it was supposed to sell for. We know it was listed $200,000 or $300,000 under price. What are you guys seeing out there besides that big headline that you saw? Are you seeing more deals where there's multiple offers? Love to hear from you. No?
Yeah, we're seeing multiple offers. I'm seeing bidding wars. I have a listing where we're holding offers this evening at 5 o'clock. So I'm expecting multiples on that one. We're 5 days on market and over 100 showings. I think I'm at 102 showings so far.
Wow.
So we did the open house. Stephen Steffen was there with me, and it was absolutely insane, right?
Wow.
Yeah, people were literally arguing. They were cornering me in the kitchen, interrogating me. Buyers who have agents. There was a lineup. So I think that we're seeing some potential FOMO with the anticipation of our rate cuts coming up in the spring. So, yeah.
That's great insight. I appreciate that feedback, Bethany, because you've got one right now in the motion there. Are there any other? I thought I've seen some condos getting some action as well too, which I actually in the Toronto region to see multiple offers in the condo market. I think that's a struggling market right now on the resale side of things, as far as number of the amount of inventory and the months of inventory on that. Any other kind of feedback on offers you participated on? I know there's a bunch of yous there. You're getting all shy. But whether, the question is, of course, as a realtor, if you're the selling agent, you like to be working in an abundance of offers for your client, which is really, that is the best thing for your client. You're trying to get top dollar. Frustrating experience we just came out of in the fall, where you're trying to set it at the right price or even a little bit above, because you're trying to hold that benchmark for that client, because the buyers just are not motivated. I think the big factor, new year, holding of the rates, a lot of speculation of what's going to happen in 2024. Is this the point where it's the bottom of the market? It can only go up from here. And I think people, at least when you hear about 85 offers, whether they were actually going to qualify for the full $1 million, that house in Vaughan, or they were actually thinking, I can afford the 800. That's 85 people that are pre-qualified, likely pre-qualified, going in firm on those deals, that can afford an $800,000. So there's people, they're ready to go. And that, a month ago, I would hear a lot of questions. Trevor, what are you hearing? What are you hearing? What are you hearing? It's like when the market changes, boom, it just changes. And whether the question is this sustainable? We'll see, right? So my recommendation, as Beth is doing her offer presentation, you're going to have a lot of offers. I have no doubt, 20 to 30 offers, I suspect. And I was chatting with Jamar about the strategy as well too. As you're doing your presentation, make sure you're really clear for. It's a very stressful experience to be on the other side as a buyer and then the buyer agent. We want to be respectful. We want to give clear direction. We don't want to be perceived as doing anything wrong or taking advantage of that situation. If you say you're going to do 2 rounds, then do 2 rounds type of scenario. Again, your seller has always been the one driving the instructions, and even more so, of course, with open offers. If that's a strategy, it is their choice, of course, but it's always good to set clear expectations. Hence, disappointment is not kicked in there. So just a little tip there on that. Is this good stuff? Is this the conversation you guys want to hear? Yeah. I feel like I talk too much sometimes, but you know, and if you want to participate, please do, guys. I hope this is relevant for everybody. So that was just a little bit of story time. If some of you were attending the OREA updates on some of the forms there last week, really high level. These are just, and I see some spelling errors. It's okay, guys. You'll forgive me. But these are just some updates and highlights from that meeting. The big, of course, new confirmation of cooperation. Oh my God, a lot of streamlining that's going to happen there. I think that's available on their OREA websites. I'm not sure if it's available on forums yet, but this is coming. So that's a change. There's now 2 new disclosure forms for latent defects, so that will be a value. Listing agreement now will have a Schedule A. This is something I think people are not quite getting. Again, we explained it last week. I know Christina and Tio did it in their meetings as well too. We must define our services. This is the kind of big revelation, frankly. To me, it's really the crux of everything TRREB. It's just make sure, again, clear expectations. What are the responsibility of the brokerage, of the agent on the services? That needs to be defined. That is really one of the big checks that Rico wanted to get into place. Termination of agreements. There are 4 new clauses as options there, and then working with the realtor is going to be discontinued. Some streamlining happening there as well too. So that was kind of I just want to give you a bit of a highlight to that meeting if you hadn't been there. And when the forms come out, of course, myself, Tio, Christina, we're kind of putting those into the appropriate templates. We are working, I don't know if it's my next screen. Yeah, these are our draft. They're not final. I just wanted to kind of tease you, like we've got the language that as a brokerage, we're comfortable at this point to say, hey, this is an option for your Schedule A to define. Keep in mind, we are trying to follow a fine line, which is, of course, being transparent to the clients, to the consumer out there when they sign up with us in a listing agreement or a buyer representation agreement. We must define the services we're providing. But there's also a point where you want to be protecting yourselves as well. When you, as an overzealous agent, which nobody here is, but when you overpromise something and then you underdeliver in words, it's hard to enforce and to hold accountable. When it's in writing, you really do need to follow through with what you promise, and that can be a situation that, again, we want to make sure we're protecting you. We're protecting your commissions. We don't want a scenario where you say, "I'm going to do," for example, I'm just using it as an example here. I'm going to do 5 open houses for you. And you say do 2 open houses and then the house is sold. Well, therefore, could I use that or perceive that as a breach of contract? We're putting language in there to, of course, protect the real estate agent's commission. And again, just set the expectations there. We have it in draft mode. We've actually already run this through to OREA. We're getting some positive feedback. So I don't know if Christina's there on the phone, but we should have something in the next couple of days really firmed up and comfortable with posting in the Schedule A there, okay? But don't worry about screenshotting this. I mean, we're going to have this very shortly for you guys. I just wanted to share where we're at on this. And again, Christina, myself, Tio, Kevin up north, the 4 of us have really been like hammering out on this, making sure, and then again, running up the flagpole.
Just a point that it probably will change again. it will change because there are other clauses and provisions that we don't even have from OREA yet in terms of remuneration changes and termination. So this is our best foot forward to date. Making sure, you know, whatever Tressa says, we've done, whatever Rico says, we've done. But now we're just in a holding pattern for a couple of clauses which are coming, but this is 98% solid. That's it.
We think. No, we're feeling pretty good on that. Another thing that I know Christina and Tio were suggesting was, you know, if there's like a couple options, like a menu of scenarios that we can insert, again, brokerage and approved, which has been vetted by appropriate authorities, that you can actually pull into your Schedule A. I think as much as possible, we want to really kind of give you clear direction on what you can commit to that you can safely stand behind as well too. So that's where our head is at these days. But I really like that suggestion as a menu, as a few things to pull in there. And that will be, just so everybody is clear, will be identified in the office clauses through web forms. And we'll do a little zoom on that when we get there at that point. I'm sure you guys saw this last week. It's an eye-opener. It is an eye-opener. 75,000 real estate agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board. And actually, I was citing this last week to other broker owners across Canada, and they were just in shock and awe of these numbers. 75,000 agents, 35,000 of them did 0 deals, another 30,000 under 5 deals. I mean, it is an amazing set of numbers to take a look at. One note, I don't really have much to say. Just know your market, know what you're operating in. By the way, I have one of these printed off in my listing presentation. When someone says, and I've always recommended printing something like this off, when someone says, well, so-and-so said they can do it for free, or I've got another agent saying they can do it for cheaper. Look, here, let me show you. And then I would show this chart here and then say, look, there are 35,000 agents out there that didn't do any deals last year. I think these people would likely pay you so they can take your listing. And then there's another 30,000 that did under 5 deals. You know, that's the majority of them. If you are a producer that has done greater than 6 deals, you are in the top, let's say 8% of realtors in the marketplace. I think that's a really valuable, you know, weapon to pull out with the majority of the competition you're going up against. So I think that's a great preemptive tool and slide to have in your listing presentation. One note, we have a new, I forget her title, but she's heading up the new training in the US and for global training for Century 21. Her name is Wendy Crane. Been in training, you know, for the last 20 years with other brokerages and brands. And, you know, one of her points that she brought up was, you know, according to NAR, the retirement net worth of a retired real estate agent. Do you know what that is? Let's, you know, throw some numbers out there. What do you guys think? You know, the average realtor down in the US, what are they retiring with? What is their net worth? What, if you had to guess, is your guess? Just pick a number. Pick a number. Anyway. Shanali, what do you think? How much are they retiring with in the US? What's their net worth?
$500,000.
$500,000.
I think it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
Some good agents who probably invested in properties and stuff.
Well, this is the average. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the average. Michelle, were you going to say something? No.
I think
Guys,
it's $500,000.
the average net worth of a retired real estate agent is $10,000.
What? Wow.
According to NAR. And honestly, I was trying to Google it last night because I'm like, I want to say this, but I want to be like 100% sure. So I'm saying this is based on Wendy Crane's presentation, what she said. and maybe there's some asterisks there as well too, but $10,000, a couple points to that. Again, it's the average individual retired and their net worth from that. And this is a business, as in Canada, there's a lot, just as that chart shows, there's a lot of part-time realtors in the business. And then as well, I think it really does speak to, it's a great business. I think that, I don't think I'm offending anybody, but I think it's a really easy business to get involved with. I think you could say that about sales in general. In general, sales is the easiest industry to get involved in, and it's the most difficult to master. So even at that point being true, the phrase, not all salespeople are good business people as well too, right? And you can make all the money in the world. If you can't keep that money, that's the challenge that realtors struggle with. And I know even last year at our kickoff, we even had Kevin Cochran there to speak on your financial responsibilities to your business. This is something that we don't, as an industry, we don't do well in keeping our money. And I do see that, this is a year that's fascinating. A lot of changes in people's lives. You want to be making decisions and making choices based on a multitude of options in your life. You don't want to be in a situation where I don't have very many options anymore, so then I have to go this way, or I have to make this decision. That is a very degrading position to be in. So as we talk about building revenue, we also need to be talking about keeping some of that money and being responsible with that. Okay, I'm getting preachy here, I'll stop. Anyways, as an interesting note, I will get the article so you guys aren't at a dinner party and misquoting that. Okay, I'll make sure. Beth, you got your hand raised, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question unrelated to what you were just saying, but related to what we were talking about before.
Of course. Yeah.
In regards to the new TRREB, I just had an agent ask me what representation I have with my seller. Am I brokerage representation or something else?
We are as a brokerage, we are going the path of designated representation. Okay, so when you take on a listing, Beth, and this is going to be changed in the new forms, by the way. Right now, the form, you have the option to go designated representative, Bethany King. That is your client. You can't discuss the motivations, the intentions, any of the details with any other agent in this office. Previously, in the brokerage or with a brokerage, some of that information could be exchanged, but the lines are being really clear now. As a designated rep, you do not discuss those intentions of that seller of yours, okay? And so we have chosen to be a brokerage that allows, or that is having their agents become the designated representative of that seller.
Okay,
or
so
buyer.
I'm a designated rep
Yes,
for the seller.
for a seller or a buyer,
In my case, for my listing, for my seller.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Actually, that's a very common question we keep getting. And one of the significant changes that are coming out from OREA's forms is the clarity on the confirmation of representation there, which is just cleaning that up because it's a little bit confusing. How do I'm not going to go down into that path, but things will continue to get clearer on that when you're doing your transactions.
Primarily, most of the reason why they're reaching out to you is because they do the conf of rep at the time they're doing an offer. So because Trevor and I were talking, because previously there was no blurring the lines. There wasn't designated rep, there wasn't brokerage rep. It was all brokerage representation or customer. So in order for them to fill out the conf of rep, they need to know what it is that they're filling out.
Now, for the most part, people are going to be the designated reps, right? It would be more of a rare thing when somebody's...
It really depends what that brokerage has decided. ITSO has created new forms where they're actually going to include a tick box that says designated brokerage, or brokerage representation. I don't hear anything about TRREB, but that'll put it right in the broker remarks, what kind of listing that is. And that protects you with internally open air conversations, what you can and can't talk about, and the other agents. So it's not, there isn't one way or the other way. The only way for you to know is to ask that listing agent what representation is their brokerage in.
Can I just ask, sorry,
Go ahead, Tony.
I didn't want to interrupt Bethany. I just wanted to ask a question. Why is that important? Because if I'm sending an offer into another brokerage, I'm just putting my information in, whatever I am for my buyer, for example. I'm leaving it up to the listing agent to fill in that part of the confirmation of cooperation.
Agreed. And that's how it should be. Like, you really just worry about your own representation and have the other side fill it. But I think in 99% of the conf of reps we see come through, it's been done by the party who's preparing the offer. So I think it's the reason they ask is because that's how they're used to doing it. It's not a secret on what your representation is, but I agree the easiest and best way to do it would be worry about your own representation and allow the other side.
Yeah.
The one thing though, this happened to me on one of my deals, is that the listing agent didn't fill out their part. So then we had to go all back through getting all the signatures, and you had to recheck it. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess because the listing agent didn't fill out their side of it.
Yeah. So there's two things here. There's what is a brokerage choosing to be designated or brokerage representation, and then what we're talking about, where the impact of that clarity comes into effect and why it's getting confused right now, is on the Form 320. It's not clear. It's not a clear path that's logical order of operation there. I represent, the listing brokerage represents the seller, but is a designated representative. Where is that being identified? And that's where there's confusion. And that's why they have admitted, yes, we need to be clear on that Form 320. I will say to your question, like, designated versus
what about you go
designated versus brokerage. Rico's intent is that they would prefer designated representation. They do not want multiple representations within a brokerage, which will become a more common thing when you have the brokerage representation, if there's another buyer or client coming in with the brokerage there. So that's something they wanted to, that was the whole, I think the whole purpose of that. But
so you should page that out when you're holding offers to let everybody know I'm the designated rep.
Yeah, that would help, but again, there's a fault with the Form 320.
Yeah, there is, and there's a form to the new one I posted in the chat, the one that's only on OREA right now. That's what it's going to look like. Hopefully SkySlope and web forms will be updated, but right now OREA's only posted it there, and all the other platforms are, I guess, programming. That's what OREA had said, hopefully in the next day or so.
Yeah, I don't know if that brings further clarity, but there'll be further clarity when we get that new form. One, of course, problem solving step to take is to make a note. Christine and I were chatting about, you can make a note to just further clarify on Form 320, just to understand, so everybody's clear on the representation, say, of that listing brokerage, and I am the designated representative with the client. Cool. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're almost there. I think, yeah, this is good timing. I just want to share this, guys. Sorry, you saw the notes. You get the point of it. Absolutely. I was in shock, but let me show you where this place is. This is Fort St. John in British Columbia. I never even heard of it. I don't know if anybody of you guys did. I've been to Prince George, and Prince George is right here. Supposedly about a 5-hour drive just northeast is Fort St. John. And this is a town of about 20,000 people. And Mike has 24 agents. And actually, I said 90%. He made a note to me yesterday just to say, Trevor, sorry, it's not. I don't know 90% of the market, 78% of the market, but he knew his numbers. It was 78%. He gave me the 90%. We had a couple of drinks. That's why that got a little bit bigger. You know how it is. But the average price, sale of the price, he confirmed between $350,000 to $400,000, and the average agent production. I'm saying north of $400,000 just to be somewhat polite and not to expose what his number actually is, but it's well above $400,000 per agent per year. And I was like, as he was, ranting, I thought, no, there's no way. Those numbers don't make sense. $350,000. Do you know how many deals you have to do in order to reach that kind of income? He's like, yeah, that's what my people do. His story, just to kind of share his story, about 12 years ago, he was actually fired from the local RE/MAX office in that town. I don't know what the reason was, and I don't know if I have the right answer. Again, we were drinking during that one, but he's like, yeah, they fired me, so I thought it was a joke and didn't click in, and then realized it was happening. So I started my own brokerage up, and he's a monster salesperson. Again, a very small town. Odds are against him, and just started doing one deal after another after another. I don't think anything particularly was special. If you have ever met Mike, he's an average-looking guy. As he's speaking, but does he know his business? The numbers, he's so on point with his numbers. He's a charmer. He's a bit of a charmer. Everything with a bit of a little smile and a joke there. But I'm like, hey, so what is it that you're doing? Just even as a leadership standpoint, what do you? He's like, Trevor, we're animals. We are monsters. We don't sit around and talk about a deal that prospecting for. It takes me a month to do it. It's about transactions. I don't care what you're making on that deal. It's about the next transaction. If you want to take over a market, if you want to take over a farm area, you got to be doing the activity. And to him, it was all about activity. Yeah, he's my age, young guy, but still going out doing door knocking. And he'll do that with his people as well too. Again, it's a small town. He's got a small sales force, but just everything you think, your traditional $200,000 plus agent, like Kyle was talking about earlier. What are all the things that Kyle is doing? That's exactly what those folks are doing as well too. But again, that perspective. I know it's a different market. I'm not saying, hey, if you can do it there, we can do it here. What I'm saying is these are. He's had a couple of people say, hey man, I don't live to work. I work so that I can live. And his point is, guys, I get it. I got a family, I got a young family as well too. I'd rather put in the work and go, crazy right now. And I want to retire. And actually even Mike was saying, I don't need to do anything, right? I'm set. I own like 20 buildings now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's not from the brokerage. I gain all my net wealth, all my income, everything I have is from real estate transactions, because that's where the business is. The money is in those transactions. And I do a good job, service it. Sometimes I make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes when you're doing those sorts of transactions, he said. He says, okay, no problem. I stay behind everything I commit to, and I pay up. And that integrity, both with his clients and within his brokerage, really goes a long way. So I just wanted to share that. Seemed like a great story and inspiring. You hear a lot about struggling agents and struggling markets. I look at a market like that. That's not a lot of people. That's 24 sales reps in that market that are owning 80% of the business. They're stepping on each other's toes. And he's like, but my culture is like, we're a team. We work together. We work through the problems as well too. So we're going to step on toes. Anyways, again, I just wanted to say and share that story. It inspired me, and I hope some of those numbers inspire you as well too. So go make over $400,000 this year. You can do it, right? Lots of transactions out there for you. Oh my gosh, Trevor, can't take that story and apply it to here in Toronto because of the number of competition. Do we have a lot of competition? We got 65,000 agents that are doing less than 5 deals. Actually, it's funny when I mentioned it to Mike, he's like, I'd fire those people in my office, Trevor. Like, really? He's like, 5 deals? You're not even in our town, you're not making a living. Again, it's $350,000 is the average price of a home. You're not making money doing that. You've got to be doing the 20, 30, 40 deals in our town to really be making a living. We are fortunate in many ways. Like, you can do one deal and make over 6 figures. But realistically, the average deal is probably a $25,000 commission. So we make a living doing 4 deals. Absolutely, you can. So I don't know. That perspective was interesting to share. Guys, we're 12:01. You got your dose of Trevor for the week. I'm excited about this market. I'm starting to see some amazing things. I love to see the buyers coming out. I'm excited. Are you ready? Have you been doing in the last year as the market's been struggling? Have you been doing the work so that when the market does open up, all your relationships are going to be calling you? And I think that's the question. What did you do this year in your marketing, in your connections, in your systems? Because it was quiet. It was quiet. Did you go, oh, that's it, the market, I'll just wait? Or have you been attacking it? I know there's agents that have been attacking it, prepping themselves for a market. When it blows up, it's going to blow up good for them. And if you haven't, now's the time. Just like the buyer, I wish I bought in November because that was really the bottom of the market. Now we're in February and March. Oh my God, the prices are going up. Were you as the agent doing that as well too with your systems, with your relationships, reaching out, getting connected with these other folks? So that's my closing message. But Chanel, you got a question or a comment?
Yeah, really quickly, guys, just about the whole multiple offers happening right now. So I have a listing I'm preparing to get on the market in a couple of weeks. To all the listing agents like Bethany, thanks for sharing that. And for the others, what was your pricing strategy for your listing, like in relation to market value, to get that many showings and open house attendance and stuff? Because I'd love to have that kind of action on my listing.
So with my listing, it's 9 Selsden, and there wasn't a lot of data to come to a very concrete price. There was attempts to sell in the 900 mark, and then mine's a semi with an unfinished basement, and the ones that had that finished basement were selling over $1 million. So can't say too much because I think somebody on this call is going to make an offer tonight.
Okay, sorry.
But I had listed at $799,999.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you priced it to attract the multiples. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we definitely priced it low, and then we just let. I'm telling everyone I'm letting the market decide, and I did not take preemptives either.
Right.
So I think that really, really helped garner a lot of interest as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that'll have a lot to do with the success of it. So good luck to you guys tonight. But that's what I was thinking too, whether to price it lower and hold offers, or whether to price it at market value. Because it was listed previously with another brokerage and it didn't sell. So I got it now. So I have to.
I would go lower. Yeah, I would go lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the weather's great. It's great for open houses. It was 11 on the weekend. So that's the other thing.
Thanks for sharing. Good luck.
Great. Great question to close off with, Chanel, and thanks, Beth. Guys, get after it this week. The opportunities are there for you. The market's turning. It absolutely is turning. I'm hopeful. And again, guys, just closing, if you haven't registered for that event, I think it's going to be a pretty spectacular event. We got a lot of great speakers and a lot of great wisdom that's going to be shared that day. So please ensure you register that. I'm going to need to book, I think, the other room, Christina, if we get over that 110 mark. So I just want to make sure we're organized for that. And again, I'm excited about doing this up in the Orangeville area, Tio. We've done so many things down in Mississauga, Brampton area, it's good to get out of town. If you're a Brampton agent, GTA agent, hey, let's go up north. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful experience up at Hockley. And again, our Orangeville office will be hosting in their city this great event. So I'm really excited.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, have fun this week. Get after it. We'll chat next week, next Wisdom Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Have a great week.